vocal fry gets a really bad rap, and I don't think that's necessarily fair. There are a lot of great uses for vocal fry for your singing, and that's what we're talking about today. Welcome back to Singing Tips with LJD Studios, the space where we talk about singing in ways you can actually understand. I'm Laura, and today we're going to talk about vocal fry and the way you can use it to enhance both your artistry and your singing technique. But before we do that, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't ever miss a new video. And if you haven't already, make sure you download my free guide, The 3-Tiered Approach to Becoming a Better Singer. Link is in the description. In that, you're going to get lots of mini videos that break down my entire approach to teaching singing. Honestly, you guys, I don't feel like I should be giving it away, but I am, so make sure you get that. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. Okay, what is vocal fry? You've probably heard it in speech a lot. The place where I feel like I hear it the most is on public radio. I don't know why, but when somebody's being interviewed, I feel like the interviewee 90% of the time is sort of talking like this the whole time. Like you might hear moments of their voice and then it comes back down like this. So vocal fry is that really kind of like gravelly sound that doesn't have a lot of tone or energy to it. And this is where it gets a bad rap because it's a little annoying to listen to incessantly when somebody is speaking, right? So from a speech perspective, vocal fry has sort of a negative impact, generally speaking. And additionally, when done over sustained periods of time, like if you always talk down here like this all the time, that's not going to be good for your voice. The way we're going to use it for singing is going to be great for your voice, largely because you'll get all the benefits of utilizing vocal fry without the wear and tear, because you're not going to do it. You're not going to sing an entire song in vocal fry. So that's why vocal fry tends to get a bad rap. It has to do with where it shows up in speech. But we're going to talk about how to use it for singing, which is a totally different ballgame. Okay, so first, let's talk about how to even do vocal fry. So interestingly enough, vocal fry is actually the lowest register in your voice. Registers are things like chest voice, head voice. You may have heard those terms before. If you're curious about registration in general, check out my other video, Demystifying Vocal Registers. I've got that linked in the description. But suffice it to say, vocal fry is the lowest. So, if you hear that sound, it's hard to pick out the exact pitch, but you can hear there's pitch to it, and it's low. It's really, really low. And the thing about lower pitches is they take less breath energy. So if we sort of think back to the speech patterns where people talk down here like this the whole entire time, it's because they're low energy. That's often why that happens. Or sometimes it's like we're trying not to be very loud, and so we don't put a lot of breath energy into it, and our voice ends up down here like this, right? So one thing to note, if you want to get into vocal fry, if you're intentionally trying to get into it, it's very little air. Sometimes I tell people, exhale and then make the sound, because that way you'll make sure you don't use too much breath pressure. So a lot of people can just make that sound on command, it's no big deal. But if you're trying to make that sound and you're struggling, I find it helpful to just kind of throw your head back a little like this. Again, exhale first, then make the sound. Right? And make sure after you've exhaled that you don't inhale. The point is to get rid of 90% of your air and use what little air is left to make that sound. One note of caution when accessing vocal fry is it should feel totally relaxed. You should not feel any pressure in your throat. So if you make this sound, you can hear that's quite a bit higher in pitch for one thing. It's not quite the same as where it just sort of rattles. That I'm putting, and you can hear when I stop the sound, there's a lot of breath pressure behind that. So the key is to make sure you're using very, 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 very little air. One way to do that is to just get rid of all your air, don't take any more in, and then make the sound. Okay, so that's how you're going to access vocal fry, is make sure you're using little to no air and that you're super, super relaxed here. And if you're struggling, throw your head back. I actually can't tell you why that helps, but I've just noticed it does. Okay, so that's how you're going to access vocal fry. Also, you guys, I'm a new mom. I don't know to what extent you hear my baby making little sounds in the background, but this is real life and you might hear him. He actually just did a little bit of vocal fry, but I don't think I was recording when I heard it. But if he does it again, I'll try to point it out. Okay, so from an artistic standpoint, when and why might you use vocal fry? Usually you'd hear vocal fry either at the beginning of a phrase or at the end. So I'm a 90s baby. Well, I'm an 80s baby, but I grew up in the 90s, so I like all about Britney Spears, the boy bands, etc. So this is the example that comes to my mind a lot is, oh baby, baby, oh baby, baby, how was I supposed to know? Right? It gives this sort of like sexy, vulnerable quality to it. Also, with vocal fry being the lowest register in your voice, it kind of helps you get down to some of those lower notes. So there's that to it as well. There's the baby, but no vocal fry. So you'll hear it usually sort of on the beginning. You'll use it and it'll feel like a slide. Oh, oh. So the thing to note is the pitch that you are on the vocal fry, which is not a specific pitch, but again, there is pitch to it. It's just hard to pick out what it is. It is lower than whatever the note is that you're about to sing in all likelihood. Oh, oh. So you're going to feel like you're sliding up to that starting pitch. Oh, and like there's, depending on what that starting pitch is, it might feel like a pretty long journey. So if I sing higher and go, oh, oh, right? That feels like a big distance because that vocal fry pitch is so low. So just note that if you're going to use vocal fry on the beginning of a phrase or in the beginning of a word, you're going to be starting at a lower pitch and you're going to have to slide up to that higher pitch. Okay, so similar to using it as the onset to a phrase, you can use it as the offset. So when you start a note with vocal fry, it feels like you're sliding up to the pitch. If you're going to end a note with vocal fry, it's going to feel like you're sliding down. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific example. They're out there. I just can't think of one. So I'm just going to keep using Britney Spears. But so instead of going, oh, baby, baby, I could go, oh, baby, baby, oh, baby, baby, right? And then I can come off of it by dropping down into vocal fry. So again, remember vocal fry, it's way down here. The pitch is really, really low. If you want to access it, it's going to be lower than whatever pitch you were singing. So one way you could practice this is to separate it a little. Go, oh, oh, just to feel where those two places are in your voice. And then, oh, oh, right? And then same thing if you were going to do it at the end. Baby, 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 right? So you just figure out sort of the placement for those pitches. They're further apart than you think. That's all I can say. So you really have to let your voice drop to get into vocal fry, even if you're already singing a low note. Those are some of the artistic uses of vocal fry. And again, it adds sort of this like sultry, vulnerable, sexy quality, makes things feel a little bit more intimate. But there's also some great uses of vocal fry to help your singing technique. And this is where I really get excited about vocal fry. So the lower registers in your voice tend to have a larger, what we call closed quotient of the vocal cords. What does that mean? Whenever you are singing or speaking, your vocal cords are doing this. The amount of time they spend here versus the amount of time they spend here, you can hear my baby in the background, determines the quality of the tone. So if I'm here, right, that's a breathy sound. If I'm spending more time here, it's going to potentially even be a pressed sound. But so vocal fry spends a lot more time here. So if you are struggling with some breathiness in your voice that you don't want there, now sometimes we use breathiness intentionally, but if you're struggling with unintended breathiness, using vocal fry can be a really helpful way to show you how to keep your chords together more so that you don't end up with that breathy sound. You are going to do an exercise that's really similar actually to the way you would approach it if you were going to use it artistically. You're going to start out on that fry sound and then just scoop up. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh my gosh, my baby's like quacking in between each one. It's pretty hysterical. So I slid and then I just add the tiniest bit more air to get to the pitch, right? What I don't do is this. Ooh, ooh. So when you're using this exercise, the goal is to sort of establish, what am I doing with my air? Okay, I can feel how much air I'm using. I'm going to just use this much more when I go to the pitch. Ooh, ooh. I'm not just all of a sudden letting all my air come through. So that's one way that you can use it to help eliminate some excess breathiness. The other way that you can use it is to help you belt a little higher, or if you're trying to go for this sort of like lighter chest voice dominant sound, and again, see my video on demystifying vocal registers, but think like Ariana Grande, where you can hear it's not like a head voice, but it's a lighter sounding chest voice. That's where you might also use some vocal fries, right? So I can do this and go nyat 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 nyat, and you can hear nyat. It's a really like big sound. But what if I don't want it to be so big, but I also don't want nyat, right? I'm gonna put a little vocal fry on the front of it, and it's gonna show me how to keep my cords more closed than they would be for head voice. So when we're in head voice, it's not like your cords just blow apart, but that quotient is more open. So if we're trying to stay out of head voice, keeping a little bit more closure of the cords is going to help that. So the vocal fry can help you do that. And then it'll also show you like, okay, I can take off some weight, right? And sometimes when we take off weight, we flip to head voice. Nyat, 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 right? Took weight off and then I'm in head voice. So this can show me how to take some weight off without my cords sort of coming further apart. Nyat, 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 nyat. So now I'm getting up to that higher note, and it's not as big. Now, that wasn't a finished sound by any stretch of the imagination, but at least it kind of shows me, okay, that's how I can do it. That's how I can get to that higher pitch, keep some chest voice in the sound, but lighten it up without flipping over into head voice. So again, the key is kind of, can we keep that more closed quotient of the vocal cords? Because head voice has a little bit more airflow through it. So vocal fry is really useful for just showing you, oh, I don't need to blow quite as much air through, which is going to help you stay a little more grounded, a little bit more anchored, and give you that more powerful sound that's not huge and yelly. So that's why I love vocal fry, you guys. It can help you with your singing technique. It can also be just an added layer of artistry that you can add in so that you're not just always singing sort of monochromatically, right? It's another color, another thing that you can add in to help you be more expressive. So there's a lot of positive uses for vocal fry. It's not all bad. Make sure, again, you like, comment, subscribe. I take requests, guys, so let me know what you want to learn. I'm Laura, and I hope to see you back again. Happy singing.